So we're just going to quickly talk about how you can support your daughters in dealing with this difficult news. Just remember that you cannot protect your girls from the pain that they're going to feel, but you can build coping skills for them, which is good for life, to have these coping skills, and it'll also help them to feel safe. So the first thing is to stick to the facts with them and be honest. Answer any questions they might have, and you can even say, I don't know. That's important for you to say. If you don't know, don't try to make up answers or speculate. Really being available to them is what matters the most. Don't say things like she went to sleep or she went away. Kids are very literal, and that's very scary for them. They should know. You can say she died. Don't volunteer information. You can ask her what she heard. If they had Zahava Farbman come speak to them in school, or their teacher spoke to them, ask them, what did your teacher say? What did you hear? And use that as a springboard for your discussion. Keep yourself together when you talk to them. If you're a wreck, that's scary for your kids. Tears are okay. It's good for them to see you cry. It's good for them to see that you're emotional. It reassures them that feeling sad is okay. But don't get hysterical or explosive. That's unhealthy. And when you're like that, then your kids are only absorbing your emotion. They're not absorbing the skills and the coping techniques and the words that you're giving them. Give words to them. Tell them it's so sad. Aliza, her sister, they're probably so sad. They're probably hurt. I cried when I heard. It's hard for me too. Let them hear emotion and words from you. Teach them empathy also, that, they probably, it's going to be so hard for them. And, Pesach coming up, and I'm sure they had such a fun Purim, and this is so sad for them. Like, let them kind of think about how the girls might be feeling. But again, not going overboard. They can go to Shiva or send something to the girls. You should do that with them if you take them to Shiva, or if they go with the school. If the school's organizing them visits, then they should go. Give them a role to be helpful so that they can make a card or a picture or write a note, something thoughtful. Something that's very important, and these 2 points I want to emphasize coming up. The girls should not treat the girls differently. They should not treat Aliza or her sister differently than they were before. So if they weren't friends before, they should not all of a sudden, start wishing her good morning. Do you want my snack? Do you want to sit with me at lunch? She should not feel like the class Neba whose mother died. That will only make her pain more intense and worse. So the girls should just be how they normally were. Of course, they should always be kind and always be thoughtful and always be inclusive, but they shouldn't be doing anything extra, because again, that's more painful. And someone had asked, shouldn't they be, going out of their way to be nice? So again, they should always be nice. But I think often when we're sad and we're grieving and we're uncomfortable, it's more helpful to us to start doing extra and going out of our way for someone. And sometimes that just makes the person's pain more intense. So the girls should just be their normal selves, and friends with who they're friends with, and her friends that are currently friends with her, they should be supportive and extra tight and, extra inclusive. But the ones that were just, kind of like, hey, good morning, that type, just stay that way. Remember that there's the second point, is also that the girls should not talk about it in school, and they should not ask the Feigenbaum girls what happened to their mother. So a lot of parents sometimes think that this is common sense, but don't take for granted that it is common sense, because your girls might feel scared or worried, and they might want information. So just remind them, girls, if you have any questions, please ask me. Don't ask Aliza, don't ask her sister, and don't talk about it with your friends. And encourage them that if they do hear girls talking about it in school, that they should be stander-uppers, and they should say, guys, we shouldn't talk about this. Like, it's not nice. And if the girls were here, it would be so hurtful to them. There's no point in talking about it. Let's just, change the subject. Encourage them to just move on and not discuss it. Remember that there's no right way for your girls to grieve. So if they're not crying or they're not emotional, don't start, worrying that they're like a sociopath or there's something wrong with them. Just be aware, though, of any changes in their behavior. So if they are unemotional and that's, you're kind of confused about that, it might just be the way that they deal with life, and that's fine. But if you see that there's changes in their behavior, that they have these unreasonable fears or sleep problems, or they can't concentrate, or they're crying a lot, or they're just overly anxious about something happening to you, then you should start offering more support to them, and maybe think about having them talk to someone just briefly, just so they can get through it. Remember that after a death of a parent, it's normal that they're going to worry about their parent dying. So reassure them that they're loved and they're cared for, and you can even reassure them that the Feigenbaum girls are loved and cared for, and that they have lots of family that's taking care of them, and they have a great community and a rabbi and a shul that is really looking out for them. Remind them that it's unusual for a young person to pass away. Reassure them that this is why it's so painful, because young people don't die, so you could say, like, there must have been something wrong, that she passed away, because young people don't die, and just leave it at that. Don't speculate on what could have been wrong, but again, just let them know that this is not normal. Don't ignore your own grief. Remember, self-care. Kids imitate the grieving behavior of their parents. So if you're sad, show them that you're sad and that it's okay to be sad. You can cry with them a little. Again, not hysterical crying, but crying a little bit. And when you're calm, they'll see that tragic events, they can upset our lives, but that we can band together and we can support each other, and we could be sad, but our lives don't fall apart. That's important for kids to see. Like, this is part of life. We deal with loss and we deal with tragedy, but in the end, we're okay. And we live in an amazing community where we have, as being part of Klal Yisrael, we're so lucky that we have so much support when great things happen and when terrible things happen. We're always there for each other, and that's important for them to remember. And again, you can remind them about their davening, that they can daven that they should have good health, and that their family should have good health, and that they should daven for, the family, for Eliza's family, for her sister, for her father, that they should have strength to get through this difficult time. And when the girls come back to school, the Feigenbaum girls, your girls, their emotions might kick up again. They might feel sad or scared or uncomfortable. Be there for them and remind them the things that you're going to talk about. Remind them that those feelings are okay, and it's normal for them to feel that way. And if they want to ask you questions, the same questions that you already answered 100 times, just keep answering. The more they talk about it, the less painful it feels. Sometimes that's very helpful for them to always have a consistent answer from you. And again, don't change your answers. Just always give the same answers. And then sometimes you can even say, if they ask you a question that they asked 100 times, you can say, remember what I told you? What did I tell you? And have them say it back so that they're learning to kind of soothe themselves. One final point that I did make about Shiva, and I forgot to put onto the recording, was that you should definitely take your kids to Shiva. I don't think it's appropriate for them to go to the funeral, but when they go to Shiva, there's no right way for them to behave. So I did say, obviously they shouldn't be cartwheeling into the house, but if they want to go in and like play a game or, color or just talk about regular everyday things, kids don't have to behave the same way in Shiva as adults do. So let them go in and just be a friend to whichever child they're visiting. That's important for them to know, that they can just be normal. I've been in Shiva houses where kids, were drawing together or playing baseball outside. Like, let them just, whatever, the parents want, obviously, but let them just feel comforted by having their friends there. They don't have to treat their friend who's sitting Shiva like an adult. So also discuss with them beforehand what a Shiva house might feel like. So I often tell my kids that I am uncomfortable and I'm like this bumbling fool in a Shiva house, that I'm just very bad in a Shiva house, so that they know, like, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to feel awkward. Let them know that that's how they may feel and that's okay. And that, again, they should, of course, be respectful, but that there's no right way, that they should just do whatever the girls feel comfortable with, that they should follow their lead. If anyone has any questions, please always text me or WhatsApp me. Or email me. I'm, of course, here to help. And remember that we just want to stay positive. And again, we don't want to prevent the girls from feeling pain and sadness. We want them to feel that. But we do want them to learn how to cope and deal with the pain and sadness. We should know only good things. Thank you.